I'm a patient guy. They were going to name me Patience when I was born, but they went with Bradley because they couldn't spell patience. Oh, forgot my script. Did I lay it down in there? Yes. I'm a sad case. Good morning. This meeting is called to order. For the record, the time is 10:59 a.m. The day of the week is the 2nd of April, 2025. The commission and its staff are appearing from Helena, Montana, the Bollinger Room of the Montana Public Service Commission. I'm President Brad Molnar. I'm the presiding chairman of this meeting. Please join me in the recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. For the record, the following commissioners are here by name. That's me, Brad Molnar, the president. And there may or may not be a quorum. Have the other commissioners, which are currently at a hearing, joined us via Zoom? They have not. In which case, we will continue going on. I'd like to state that we are minus a quorum at this time. Therefore, by our rules, if a decision needs to be made, and I'm not expecting one, then I will make it. The Public Service Commission welcomes any comment on any item that is on today's agenda or any matter that is within the public jurisdiction of the Public Service Commission. Are there any public commenters in the room? Seeing none, are there any public commenters online? Oh, okay. Commissioner Bukacek and Commissioner Wellborn have joined us. So we have one in person and two here currently. So we do have a quorum. Are there any public commenters online? Seeing none, do we have any announcements or changes to this agenda? I don't believe we do. And we have no minutes because this is not really a work session. This is a legislative work session, look at a placeholder on bills of impact to the PSC. So with that, Trevor, would you like to give us an update?
Yeah, Mr. President, Commissioners, President Molnar asked that we bring you up to speed on what's happened with Senate Bill 561 this week. Senate Bill 561 being the appointment bill. To start, we have hit the deadline season in the legislature. This bill was originally introduced Monday, referred to committee Monday, and scheduled for hearing today at 3, which is why we have this placeholder meeting in place. Ultimately, the Senate Energy Committee moved that hearing on short notice Tuesday from the 3rd to April 1st at 3. So this hearing has taken place already. I know that commissioners have several questions about this bill, And if you like, I'll just go ahead and go through the bill anyway, regardless of the hearing having happened, since it's very likely going to be on the floor tomorrow. Essentially in section 1 of SB 561, it moves the commission from 5 electeds from 5 districts to 2 elected members using the East and West congressional districts, and then the other 3 members would be appointed by the governor. Section 2 of the bill essentially adjusts those districts. Section 3 of the bill sets the term of office. It moves the term length from 4 years to 6 years. Elected commissioners may serve 12 years in a 24-year period. Appointed commissioners, the same. Section 4 deals with the existing vacancies statute for filling vacancies on the commission, adjusts it to match up with that methodology. Section 5 addresses qualifications for appointed commissioners. This is a new section. Appointed commissioners must have a minimum of 4 years separation from a professional affiliation with an entity regulated by the commission. Appointed commissioners, their spouse or minor children may not have financial interests in any entity regulated at the commission. Commissioners must be a citizen of the U.S. That's a normal requirement for serving in an office in Montana. And then sub 5 gets into the actual qualification requirements. An appointed commissioner must have substantial experience or significant technical qualifications relevant to the laws governing and administrating the Public Service Commission. Those include, but aren't limited to, experience in the fields of finance, law, or energy. It also adds, prior to nomination by the governor, a qualified commissioner shall document the relevant qualifications and file the document with a $100 filing fee to the Commissioner of Political Practices. That's what made this a revenue bill and allowed it to be brought back at this time. Section 6 sets out the process for appointing commissioners. It requires a 2/3 vote on advice and consent in the Senate for those appointments. Section 7 sets out the transition from a fully elected commission to a split commission of appointed and electeds. Section 8 sets out qualifications for elected commissioners. Again, it requires a 4-year separation from any professional affiliation with an entity regulated by the commission. Sets out the financial interest requirement, no financial interests with an entity regulated by the commission, and says an appointed commissioner, it should read elected commissioner, must be a citizen of the U.S. That's the bill. I would sit for questions.
First of all, Patricia, this is a 20-minute carve out of time because we know the commissioners at the hearing have to get back. Can you give me an idea of how much time we have left? 15 minutes. Okay. Do the other, okay, we apparently have 2 commissioners online. Do the 2 commissioners online have any questions of Trevor?
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Jeff Wellborn, zooming in from Phillipsburg today. Trevor, I don't have a copy of the bill in front of me, but you did mention, in addition to the filing fee, which put the revenue requirement on this bill, are there any other substantive changes to the bill beyond what Representative Brewster's original proposal was?
Yes, the filing fee and the Commissioner of Political Practices is one. The other one would be requiring a 2/3 majority vote for appointment.
Okay, Trevor, would you clarify? So the 2/3 majority vote would be during the confirmation in the Senate?
Correct. So post appointment, when the Senate would be voting to confirm an appointed commissioner, it would take a 2/3 majority of the Senate.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. No further questions.
I have no questions.
Okay, Trevor, I have a few. I know the answers to them, but I think it's important to go on record on some of these issues. Just for clarification, you covered this, but it's kind of hard to fathom. I've been in elected politics 34 years and I've never seen anything like it. Is it accurate to say that Senate Bill 561 was read over the podium on Monday, scheduled for hearing on Thursday, and heard without notice on Tuesday?
Mr. Excuse me. Mr. President, according to the legislative website, the bill was introduced, read across the rostrum, referred to committee, and first scheduled for hearing on March 31st. It was scheduled for April 3rd, then moved to April 1st. The legislative website still has a hearing date listed for April 1st at 3 and April 3rd at 3 p.m.
Thank you. Did opponents, proponents, or public show up at the hearing?
Mr. President, the hearing as it was included one proponent, the Montana Chamber of Commerce, no opponents.
Did the committee have any questions?
Mr. Chairman, no.
Was there any discussion of having two districts, the same as congressional districts, and these would be used for future congressional candidates, and how that grandstanding might affect ratepayers?
No.
This bill says that the minute, and you covered this well, the bill says the Senate must confirm by a 2/3 majority. Does that seem like an unusually high majority?
Mr. Chair, what I would say is I'm not aware of any 2/3 majority required votes for advice and consent. Also haven't had a great chance to look at it this morning, but off the top of my head.
If a Supreme Court justice had to be replaced during the interim, would he require a 2/3 majority vote when he was up for confirmation?
Mr. Chairman, I don't think so. Want to preface, I'm not an election law expert.
Well, and I'm probably the closest one we have sitting at this table. There's probably a better one sitting 2 rows back from you. But it does seem to me, and I know this is true because the bill goes into it, that if the Senate, and I'm certain this Senate couldn't do it, can't reach a 2/3 majority between wind aficionados, coal, Republican, Democrat, all of that, the governor would wind up appointing during the interim, the same as the Commissioner of Political Practices, if they can't give somebody to the governor and the governor doesn't agree with who is going to be appointed, he just simply does it, overrides. Would that be the same situation?
Mr. Chairman, I'm not certain, but the way the bill reads, if an appointment is made in the off term, they serve until they're appointed.
So if they weren't confirmed during the regular session, that would be off term.
Potentially.
One of the things that the bill sponsor, good friend of mine, Senator Zolnikoff, said was that Senate Bill 561 would take away the quasi-judicial status of the PSC commissioners. Would it make us non-quasi-judicial because they were appointed?
Mr. Chairman, no, you would still have the same statutory charge as a commission appointed or elected with this bill.
My final question is Article 2, Sections 8 and 9 guarantee the right of public participation on this and all issues before the legislature. Was there any discussion at all about silencing the public before this commission or before the committee, and not just the public, but all proponents and opponents being barred if they didn't somehow just wander into that hearing and happen to have a presentation?
Mr. Chair, no.
Well, there's a due process question here. With that, I'm out of questions. Perhaps I invoked another. Is there anybody online, including the two commissioners, that have any questions on this? Seeing none?
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes, Senator.
Ask for your indulgence.
Yes, Commissioner.
The question's for Trevor. Trevor, how were you reached? I mean, I realize, sometimes the process does move along at a little faster pace for various reasons, but when did, I'm assuming somebody from committee staff or the chair or somebody from the committee let you know that it had been moved up, or how were you first contacted about it, and how much time did you have to kind of respond to track it for us?
Mr. President, Commissioner, I found out as I watched Senate Energy Tuesday. So as it was happening.
Thank you.
And I've got one observation. I'm just going to throw this out there because it's actually humorous, bring a little levity to a dark situation. One of the things that Senator Zolnikoff, the sponsor, said was that part of the reason we need this is the commissioners are lobbied by the utilities, and we don't know what's in a rate case until we open it up for the case, inferring that the Senate is not lobbied. And we are. Of course, that would be ex parte and we would be booted. If you want a lobbied, a commissioner that's appointed by a governor that is then lobbied out in the halls, up and down every back room, and then have people sitting there because they really aren't confirmed by the Senate. They're elected by the Senate. The people will move, this would move, the people can't elect them. The Senate will elect them. And if the Senate doesn't do it, then the governor will appoint them. Very different than the way this is portrayed. But to say that we are lobbied and they are not, and that's why this should pass, tells me that this good sponsor and nobody in that committee had any idea what we do or how we do it. And that's why they had no questions. So is there anything else that is going on with this bill or anything else in the legislature? We have quite a few bills we're watching, and Trevor's up to speed on those, but only 20 minutes, so I wanted to focus on this. Seeing none, we will see you next Tuesday, 10:30 for scheduling and 11 o'clock for a work session. Thank you.